We've been ghost hunting for a while, and we got a case of shadow people in somebody's house. Neighbors claim to see people walking around inside the house when no one was home. When the neighbors went to check, no one was there. No sign of entry either, and this has been happening for years. My team and I decided to investigate, and as we approached the house, we could tell it was only a few decades old, and no one had died there since it was built. But when it was just us there, it felt unwelcoming. It felt dark, and as the night grew colder, the house grew creepier. When we investigated houses before, you could always sense one or two spirits. But this place felt different. It was as if it was a community of ghosts, one for each section of the house. The house was quite clean, but there was a stickiness. When we moved, it felt like we were walking through walls made of tar. Our skin would crawl, and the pressure on our chest felt like it was a weight pressing down on it. There was an old bookshelf not too far from the entrance. As I walked past it, I watched as a whole row of books went flying off and landed at my feet. I was about 15 feet away from it. We tried debunking it, testing to see if there was a force or motion, gravity, or even just chance. Nothing could be repeated. It was as if the spirits were just telling me to leave. But that was just the start. The house was dark, but you could still see the reflections well in the mirrors. However, when you stared into those mirrors, your image would change. Your eyes seemed hollow, your face would look gaunt, and your skin would look pale. We tested this with different lights, different team members. All had the same effect. The worst part is every room was active like this. Our devices would stop working correctly, and we had to rely on just our senses. By this point in the night, it was very cold. We had spoken to a few spirits in the house, and we were checking our evidence. One of my team members walked off to investigate one of the nearby rooms, but all I saw was him reach out and touch the door to open it. He never made it past that point. I assumed he was just trying to feel the temperature or differences or vibration, but when he returned to us, he just stood there, blankly staring at what we were trying to debunk. It wasn't for about 10 minutes that I realized he had not blinked or moved. I called out to him, only to have him blink and look around confused. He asked me what he was doing back near us and what happened. The last thing he remembered was touching the door. To this day, he doesn't remember those 10 minutes of his life. But that didn't stop. He reached into his pocket to grab a religious item for protection. But as soon as he did, his arm locked up. He couldn't move his legs and could barely even speak. My team circled him and tried to calm him. I started to read off exorcisms. As I touched him, I could feel his skin grow colder. I even tried to move his arms, but they were so tight and I couldn't pull them apart. It was like he was binded in an invisible chain. Before I could finish my exorcism, a team member of mine stepped back and decided to provoke the entity, to force the attack on himself instead. Before I could interject, we all saw a black mass appear between us. It looked like half of a body, mostly solid, but the rest transparent. I watched as it looked like the entity pulled back its arms and pushed forward with all force. Then I watched a 280-pound, 6-foot man be pushed 10 feet from me. The entity disappeared. Our member that was previously bound was set free, and I took this as an opportunity. With what knowledge we had at the time, we grabbed some white sage and a few herbs and started cleansing the house, exercising it thoroughly. I was worried it wouldn't be enough, but the fear of someone getting hurt later on was more important. Together, we cleansed the house, forcing everything to leave and to protect the house. We did this for about 20 minutes, chanting, praying, doing everything we knew how to. Then, the house was calm. Silence returned for the first time since we got there, but this was the first time it felt safe. The stickiness had gone away, and the pressure had lifted, and it finally felt like a home again. To this day, no one has seen a shadow in any of the windows. No one has been hurt since. But deep down, knowing the knowledge I know now, something may still be there, hiding in the shadows, until it's ready to roam again.
Thank you for listening to Theater of the Mind. We really appreciate all the feedback we've been getting lately and all the viewers to our Streamlabs and Patreon. If you would like to have your story possibly be chosen for one of these videos or podcasts, please email us at zodiacsupernatural@gmail.com or DM us at one of our social media sites. If you would like to listen to these stories when they first come out, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on one of your podcast streaming platforms. Thank you so much to each and every one of you, and we hope to have you here again.